ask your mom.
Yeah, come on, Alyssa.
You're supposed to say over when you're over. Over.
Don't be such a dick. Go ask your mom. Over.
Come on, guys. Why can't you ask your mom? Emma's mom doesn't care what we watch. Over.
'Cause your mom has the best snacks.
And you have the best TV. Don't be such a scaredy cat. Just go ask her.
Fine, just wait a minute. Over.
Yes.
Mom? Oh. Yes, sweetheart? I was wondering, since if, I walked the dog every day this week, and I cleaned my room, and...
Spit it out, dear.
I was wondering if Kay and Anna could spend the night?
I don't know, Alyssa. Those girls are a handful.
Please, 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 Mom, I will never ask for anything again. I promise, please.
Fine. But no scary movies this time, okay?
Oh, we won't. I promise.
Jason has left Crystal Lake. I repeat, Jason has left Crystal Lake. Over.
Awesome. Okay, now to convince my mom. Be right back. Hey, Mom. Mom. Mom.
Hmm?
Can I sleep over at Alyssa's tonight?
Sure, dear. I'll just call Alyssa's mom and check on that.
Ugh. Why do you have to be so embarrassing?
Well, fine. You can stay home with me tonight then. The last part of Thornbirds is airing on ABC.
Fine, just don't be lame.
Hello?
Hi, Mary. It's Sharon. Kay's mom?
Oh, yes. Hi, Sharon. I haven't seen you since the PTA meeting.
Yes, that was an interesting night.
Oh, I know. Those girls sure have a knack for trouble.
Yes, well, I'll never understand why the girls had to Night of the Creeps, the spring formal, but alas, I was just calling to confirm that the girls were having a slumber party at your house tonight.
Yes, I told him it was fine.
Wonderful. So just a few reminders. Kay is not allowed to have any caffeine, definitely no soda, and no high fructose corn syrup or processed snacks. Oh, and please make sure she's in bed by 9 and that she wears her retainer.
Okay, got it.
Oh, one more thing. No more horror.
I'll do my best.
See that you do.
Oh, I love that Tonka. Nice and lass on him. Mom, going to Alyssa's. Be back sometime. Oh no, Missy, you come back here right now. What, Mom? Where you think you're going? Alyssa's sleepover. Back tomorrow. That's great, honey. Just bring your moms back some smokes. These kids, no respect. Ultimate Warrior! Yeah, Bob!
So, did you get it?
Did I get it? You guys, he wanted me to trade my Cannibal Holocaust tape. And the postage from London, England was like insanely expensive, my entire allowance.
Oh, bummer.
Wait, did you get it or not?
Did I get it? Did I get it?
Oh my god,
He said he like taped it off his TV like as it was playing. Like the whole thing is like completely real.
Girls, do you want some snacks? I have some fresh baked cookies and some carrot sticks for Kay.
Okay. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom! Now I'm heading to Bingo at the Y. I've left you girls some money for pizza. I trust you'll behave for a few hours while I'm gone.
Yes, Mrs. Wagner!
Great. Bye-bye then.
Okay, what are you waiting for? Put it in.
Oh, and ladies, no Mountain Dew, no Doom, no horror movies, and especially no boys. Am I clear?
Pepsi clear.
Great. Have fun. Well, welcome everybody to the Pillow Fright Podcast first ever slumber party. I'm Alyssa.
I'm Kay.
And I'm Amalia.
And to continue with the theme for this month, last week we watched Late Night with the Devil. This week we are watching a film that clearly inspired it. I think we all know what we're talking about. Ghostwatch.
So if you haven't seen Ghostwatch already, it is currently streaming at the time of this broadcast on Shudder. So if you have Shudder or AMC Plus, go watch it and then come back so we can talk about it because there's so much to talk about.
Let's grab our popcorn and get into it. I can hear it.
Okay, so Mom's gone, but I want the lights back on because that movie was scary. We just finished watching Ghostwatch, and it was my first time.
It was my first time watching it. It's my like fifth time watching it.
It's still scary as fuck though.
It's still super scary. That I can only imagine what it was like for someone seeing that the first time and thinking it was a news broadcast, because I was, especially towards the end, like absolutely glued to the screen.
Oh yeah.
And the jump scares that were done, like I probably would have been freaking out as a viewer.
Yes. It just I just love when movies go from so subtle to like just banana batshit like later on, and it's just like it was unrelentless the last like 10 minutes.
Yeah, they really amped it. Like I don't want to say 0 to 60, but maybe like 20 to 60. Like because they had some good moments, they had really good tension, but it was so natural that it was comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching a BBC program.
Right.
Or I guess it would be like a PBS show for
Yeah,
American
like
style.
Dateline or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of Dateline as a kid.
I
but
don't
okay.
know when it's on.
I think that if it wasn't so subtle that it would have appeared fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was like chill, oh fuck.
Because it was so subtle what they did, but it didn't look subtle. Like the way that, and it was 92.
Yeah.
It was 92. Oh my gosh.
Well, and
Or the Blair Witch.
Before the Blair Witch, before all that.
right. I mean, the only other thing that is from that magnitude would be War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast that scared everyone into thinking that aliens had invaded. And this is on par with that. This had people in England upset. People were traumatized. There were lawsuits and complaints.
Yeah.
There's an unaliving.
Yeah.
That's just incredible to me. Like I can't even wrap my head around that.
Imagine being the filmmakers and like living with that.
Yeah.
Life.
Oh my gosh. And like, didn't they had the number on screen to call, and that was like the real number, and then you got phone calls, but it got to the point where they were just like, "This isn't real."
No, that's how they answered the phone. They literally answered the phone with, "Hi, the show you're watching isn't real," and then they let them talk anyway.
Yeah.
And
well, the callers, I mean, it's exceptionally well acted. It was very, very well acted. It was extremely well done. Having the commentators, having those in charge of the news show be regular BBC personalities, being people that, they were comfortable in their home. Like, you already trust them.
Yeah.
And this is something that's just absolutely kind of like out of left field, but like a holiday special gone horribly awry.
Yeah.
We're focusing in the beginning on like how cute the set is,
Right.
and like, oh my god, I love this little living room.
It's gonna be a
cute
fun,
ghost.
like, ooh, like it's gonna be spooky.
We're gonna see like a costume parade with these kids in these masks, which at the time probably weren't as creepy as they look now, where we're like, what is with these like but it's like when you look at like 1920 photos of Halloween costume, you're like, absolutely not.
No.
Hate every Easter bunny in the 1920s is pure nightmare fuel.
I don't even want to think about it.
So, but back then, that was probably like what you saw the children going about and having, you know, a group of people that are just gathered while someone's filming. That just, you know, that's something we see every day. Like, oh, there's news crew here. Everyone's just going to gather around.
Right.
It was very well done in the realism, which I think is why it's so effective as horror.
Well, and obviously, years later, I'm sitting here. I know it's fake, clearly, but it's so easy for a fraction of a second to be like, but that's the real. He's not an actor.
Well, not an actor, but if you're most people who are television personalities and hosts, especially of children's shows, things like that, there is acting involved. Like it's a different style, but considering, I think they said that the parapsychologist was a stage actress. And other people that are on the show are used to being on camera. So like traditional, what we think of an actor or not, they are still personalities. They are still acting.
But they're really like they're like the real life. They're what they do in their real life. Like, wasn't it just him and then the crew was real?
The crew was real.
Yes. But was everybody else an actor?
Everyone except for the parapsychologist was not.
Okay.
The family and the kids were actors.
Yes.
Okay.
But like the presenters were real presenters.
yes.
What was it, Sarah?
Yeah, they were all part of the BBC.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So, I mean, the way that they did it is what we look for in horror, where we are trying to have that thing that draws you in, where you think that this is a haunting, that we are witnessing, that we are part of it. And then having that whole, you bring the viewer in because viewers at home are in, people are calling.
Yeah.
They have, you know, this person's from Leeds, this person's from Essex. It's very authentic that people are having these experiences at home. Not only are they noticing things on screen, which is what we would be when you call into like a radio show or you leaving comments on a YouTube or like on a Twitch, you're just like, oh my God, did you see this in the background? And then you have people that are calling in with their own paranormal experiences from the past, but then also, hey, why is real life happening? Which I love that they at first were like, all right, prank call, especially since so early on, the mom talks about being dismissed. And so then they're just dismissing people left and right. They're like, nah, everyone's a liar.
Yeah.
She was going to spend the best part of her night in the most haunted house in Britain.
Of course, we're talking about Sarah. Sarah is our reporter who will be spending the night actually inside our haunted house.
Oh yeah, jumped at the chance. Actually, so did I, because we've both been interested in ghosts and that weird sort of stuff. And to be honest, I could never have sat at home tonight on my own and watched this program.
So now I'm kind of thinking it's like maybe this isn't. Maybe the 4 movies this month of coverage that we're doing aren't found footage. So what are they? If they're not documentaries and they're not found footage, what is this subgenre?
It's like its own little mini class of subgenre, and I love it. Yeah, because
broadcast horror.
I actually was going to say broadcast horror.
Because I feel like the easy place to put it would be found footage, because that's just like the go-to that people.
Well, it is footage.
It's footage, but it's not found.
Not all of it's found. Late Night with the Devil was found.
Yes.
Because they specifically say that in the beginning.
So it's a hybrid.
But this is, and one of the other movies we're going to watch this month is not found. It's
right. It was like
it's live.
In live.
So yeah, maybe we can. You heard it here first. Broadcast horror.
Broadcast horror.
Hashtag broadcast.
Is that what the kids do?
The kids.
The youths. Is that what the youths do?
The youth.
Not the current youths. I think that's the elder youths.
The elder.
You're gonna get canceled so fast.
I'm so sorry. Am I the one that's gonna?
Hi, fellow kids.
Before we even start, this is our last slumber party, guys.
But I mean, it's that you're watching something on TV, which is when you think about found footage, that's one of the things that makes it palpable, makes it real, is that I could be watching something that my friend recorded. I could be watching something that's on my phone, and I could be watching something that I clicked a remote, turned on, and it's just the news.
Yeah.
But all of that is when you're watching a movie, but it's enough that it can trick your brain into being like, this is kind of real.
Right.
And I think that's what makes good found footage effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, when it's something that you're like, this actually could happen, and it's not, as we said before, when the subtleties of it are what, you know, because your brain is always going to come up with something scarier than what's on the screen.
Right.
Oh, that's why, like, when we were watching it, when I was like, the apples are gonna be something.
Girl, what is wrong with you?
I need to take a psychology test.
kind of love it so far in Soda. Now, you know, we asked you to join our exploration of the supernatural by telling us your ghost story. Well, here's someone with a tale to tell.
Well, you see them at the end.
That's true. It kind of was.
They were definitely gonna swing, but like, I mean, I know I just like we think about how we could end this, how it would be done if it was a movie, but this wasn't done as a movie. This was done with that aspect that it doesn't have that like little over the top. Yes, it has a beginning, middle, and yes, it has a story. Yes, it has characters that we're introduced to and we get to learn their backstory. But in the same sense, it didn't have to have a set timeline. It doesn't adhere to the same standards that we're gonna hold a regular scripted movie to. Yes, it's scripted, but at the same time, like you need that level of disbelief, and you need it to not follow the expected timeline for it to be more believable.
Yeah.
So while we were watching the film, and, you know, obviously we're sitting there trying to enjoy it, but, you know, it was hard for you not to, like, take notes and write down. And then, of course, mental notes as well, because we're not only are we comparing it to other found footage movies, we're comparing it to other paranormal movies.
Broadcast horror.
Broadcast horror.
No, I'm saying, yes, we are comparing it to, but in the genre of broadcast horror, when we specifically think of Late Night with the Devil, which is the modern version of this, it's still going to be, like, it's late night. Because they talk about like kids should be in bed, but all the things that were the parallels that we saw, like I remember the when he's looking at the towards the end of Late Night the Devil, and he's like turn off the TV. And I remember the paranormal investigator she's just like, record this, write this down, see where they address the audience, they break that fourth wall, because they're supposed to be, but not in the sense of scripted. It's a separate. It's almost like you're pleading with a person that you can't see. You're pleading with the viewer at home, and like I was like, oh my god, I will for you. I will record my findings for science. But even the characters that we're watching in this have their parallels, with Jeff Goldblum,
a British
not Jeff Goldblum.
So there's British Helen Hunt, there's British
American British actor. Probably. I mean, we didn't look him up.
I did not.
But the Jeff Goldblum-esque.
He looked like Kevin McAllister's dad.
Yeah. So we have the believer. We have the cynic.
Yeah. The skeptic. Yeah.
We have the host.
We have the June.
British Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Psychologist author.
We kind of have the sidekick guy, but because he's manning the phones, but he is doing commentary.
Yes.
So he's the in-studio sidekick, I'll say.
The love child of Jordan Peele and who was it?
The guy from No Doubt.
Tony.
Yeah, Tony.
Who's also the sidekick. I think the not in-studio sidekick.
The hype man. The very energetic gentleman.
He was Gus.
He was Gus. He was
a Gus.
He was a Gus.
But you know, it's fine. He was safe.
Which do you guys prefer, Ghostwatch or Late Night with the Devil?
I mean, for me, they're different enough. Like, it's just, they're different enough for me to see them differently. Like, there's not one I like more than the other, but there are things about both that I really, really appreciated. Like, I loved the aesthetic of Late Night with the Devil. As I mentioned before, I am just a glutton for the 70s aesthetic, for the occult. So, and the costuming in that movie, just the design, everything was beautiful. That was my favorite part of that. But Ghostwatch, I just love the authenticity of it. Like how, I love that. It's just,
I'm gonna be real here. I think that Ghostwatch is better directed. Yeah. And I think the script is better because the things that work for Ghostwatch and for the authenticity are, the cameras have a purpose.
Yeah.
At all times. At every single moment of that movie, the camera is pointed somewhere because it's supposed to be. And with Late Night with the Devil, I personally feel like all the black and white stuff, the cut to commercial footage, that wouldn't exist. It just wouldn't. There's no way that you'd have these perfectly lined up shots of people talking, because no one's filming that.
I
Like,
think that was supposed to be the artistic choice of like representing.
it is.
Especially in the
camera,
70s, they're
But
not
I
getting
agree,
behind
yeah.
the scenes.
No, these,
So it was just
these
for us, so it's-
cameramen
right.
are literally going to be smoking their cigarette and getting their
Yeah.
coffee for their 3-minute break.
I would have loved to see that, to be honest. Like, I would have loved that to be the movie. Like,
They're
that
like,
was the
why did
best.
my cigarette
Like,
light
they're just
itself?
like, there's no like, you know, they didn't have to do like any intimate like dialogue. I just would have loved to see people just be like, did you get that?
But like,
Just-
see, if I were making that film, I think my choice would have been
Yeah.
the camera's still on, but it's turned to the side, and you see
Right.
the cameraman half in frame,
Oh,
and you get
right.
a little bit of Desmalchian
So it
having
really
that
was
conversation
BTS,
in the
yeah.
background out of focus.
That would have been
Like,
dope.
because that feels more authentic.
right.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, watching them, you know, a week apart,
Yeah.
I think that was my takeaway of like, I liked Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad movie,
Right.
but comparatively as genre to genre, as inspiration to the modern version, Ghostwatch holds up better.
And I mean, it definitely felt polished.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It exceeded my expectations for sure.
Like, as a group of desensitized horror fans,
Yeah, it
we
really
were all
affected me.
freaked out watching
and
it.
like
had a
in
lot of
retrospect,
jumps.
we talk spoilers, right? We,
This
Okay,
is the
so
spoiler zone.
I think in the spoiler, because they describe Mr. Pipes, like what he looks like, right? He's like burned or
Yeah. No, he's not
No,
burned.
he
He was
was
eaten.
The cat's
he was
in his
eaten by
face.
cats.
and when
My cat would never eat my
when
face.
yeah,
Yeah. 100% they were.
oh,
Food is food, man.
it's true. I'm thinking of the scenes when Jordan Peele, No Doubt Tony, was like talking and everybody's in costumes, and then my eye kept going to one in the back. I'm like, what the hell costume is that? Like, did people dress
I
up
wish
weird?
I'd see that.
Didn't
I'm
even
gonna go
notice
back.
And see, I didn't notice it until it was pointed out to me, and then it was pointed out, and then I was like, oh, like it was like one of those retrospect chills. Like he was just there, and I love that. You don't notice that he was just there, and you don't notice like oh.
But that's why it works. That's
I love
that's
that.
when
I love
found footage, when broadcast horror,
Yeah.
broadcast horror is at its best. When it's not the subtlety, you gotta try and like you gotta trust your audience.
Yeah.
You gotta like
Yeah.
you like I don't need to be spoon fed
Right.
scares.
Yeah, we're more intelligent than I think a lot of people think.
No, but in general,
It's
that
true,
is
it's
something
true.
when the difference between fun horror, campy horror, and like horror, like good
Yeah.
horror, is when you have that respect for your audience.
Yes.
But I won't. If I look at it just from Ghostwatch, Late Night with the Devil, Late Night with the Devil is a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghostwatch is a nightmare.
Yes, it is. It really is. It's
Ghostwatch
so
is something
exciting.
that I would actually,
Yeah.
I would be terrified if that happened to me, and I
Yeah.
could see it happening. Late Night with the Devil had that extra. It was more heightened because it's not just.
It was heightened.
But it's also it's the devil versus a ghost.
Right.
It's the devil versus a
Some
haunting. It's the
random
devil versus a poltergeist.
Singular like ghost. Yeah.
Right. So when you
Right.
look at that smaller scale, or like, I mean, frankly, Late Night with the Devil is a higher stakes storyline because it's not just like this haunting is happening, and then at the end they're like, we made this happen. We
Yeah.
created this. It's getting worse. We created a seance, and it's affecting other people.
Yeah, I love that.
Which Late Night with the Devil, that seemed to be like them. It was like, oh my God, we didn't mean to do this. But with Late Night with the Devil, I was like, that was the whole point.
Right.
Satan wanted to infect as many people as possible, which is why that creepy little shit was like, which camera do I look at? This one? Like, it's, but like when you see it, I don't know. I can respect them separately for I think they both accomplished what they were trying to do.
Right.
But as far as being broadcast horror, which one had me? During Late Night with the Devil, I wasn't sitting there being like, I didn't remember that it was. I remembered that it was fake the whole time. I remembered that I was watching a movie.
Right.
But the way that they shot, and maybe it's it could be the fact that it's the subtleties of British in general when you watch British horror versus American horror.
It's not American horror, it's
hits
Australian.
differently.
I don't know, but I think we still have to qualify it as American horror because it's not Australia. I mean, it's
Americanized?
made by Australians. It's filmed in Australia, but it's an American talk show.
Yes, you're right.
So the personalities
Set in
that they're
America.
yeah, it's set in America, but also when you talk about British horror and British comedy, British TV shows, British sci-fi,
Yeah,
their jokes are drier.
it hits differently.
The conversations, it's a little bit more PBS versus Conan.
Even the cameras are different. Just that glossy kind
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about where it was made. I'm talking about the
culture.
style. Yeah, the culture that you're appealing to. Late Night with the Devil is supposed to be New York City, old school, SNL. We have an intro. He's like walking the streets, like that type of situation versus this year. Hello and welcome to my living room.
Right. Yeah.
But so it because it's more intimate versus like so that I would say that Ghostwatch is intimate. Late Night with the Devil is a stage. You know that it's a sound stage. You know that it's this whole it's a performance. And everything that they do is a performance. Versus Late Night with the Devil, it's not supposed to be a performance. It's just supposed to be something that we're witnessing.
Right. You mean Ghostwatch?
Ghostwatch is something.
That took me a second.
Sorry.
I know, I was like, what?
I was like, when I say wrong. No, okay. Ghostwatch is something we are witnessing.
Right.
Late Night with the Devil is a performance.
I like that. I like that view because I see that. I definitely do.
There's nothing wrong with either. I mean, specifically talking about endings, the similarities between Late Night and the Devil and the ending of Ghostwatch, the camera moving specifically. I remember that part of like the rogue camera just going by, and the wind, the electricity, because they're both technically on a sound stage. There were so many similarities with that.
Yeah.
And the chaos that's ensuing. And if you've ever been in a live studio audience, it's kind of like, oh, you are kind of trapped there.
Right.
You don't really know like the exits. Like they're like, exit there and there. But like if something actually went down,
right?
Yeah, people would be losing their shit and running everywhere.
in stadium seating,
It's hard to get out of.
which I think Late Night with the Devil did a good job of actually showing what people would be doing, is they'd be flipping out. I don't think there was a live audience. There's not a live audience with Ghostwatch.
They don't show them, no.
Is there one?
No, I think I want to say for that studio normally, like on their like Crime Watch, their real shows, I think they have a studio audience, but I think because this was pre-filmed, like not actually live,
right?
That it was their
And
real
you don't
audience.
hear in the audience.
I mean,
I don't think it was addressed.
No, I would assume that if they had an audience, they would have used that footage. Like,
They would have established something. Yeah.
People flipping out. But the utter chaos and the chaos that's happening multi-location for Ghostwatch, where you have I love that, that guy that I'm like, oh my God, this guy is over the top. This hype man is going crazy. But then in the end, he's just sitting there like, I can't spin this. I wish I knew you were cutting to me. I'm not on right now. And he's kind of panicking, but
that's why it works.
Yeah.
He's like, ah! And you see him, he's like fucking pushing a kid out of the way. Right. It's just like, I didn't know you owned me. Ah!
Yeah, there was no violence against children.
Like quick cut of him quick.
Only at the BBC, love.
I think. Okay, so somehow
Sorry.
And the mom being like, well, I mean, if I would have beat her. I was just like,
dialogue. Different times, guys.
Different times.
Baby farmers.
Baby farmers. Baby farmers and childminders.
Those glory holes, man.
The glory holes.
Me too. I was like, is that really what they
I tried to be so mature. I tried to be so
No, you
respectful. Well, after like the fourth time they said it, I just tried, but I just
absolutely not.
I had the little kid like,
it's okay. You're allowed to be you, man.
Yeah, just don't deny it. There's
I don't know.
0% chance every time something you said, like glory hole was said, you're just over there being like.
I mean, is a glory hole? Like, I mean,
no, it was
is
weird.
That different in the UK?
I'd never heard it described that way. I was just kind of like, so it's a cellar, but also like, what's with these tiny door cellars underneath the stairs?
I
don't love
so
that.
Seriously, and so like just proper, and there was nothing, obviously nothing funny about it, but that's what made it funnier.
But okay, so basements though, I was from the Midwest, so we had a basement.
I also
I've never had a basement because I'm from California.
Exactly. That's a weird California thing where I was like, y'all don't have basements?
I
Basements
also,
are the best.
I
I've never
they talk
been in a
about
basement.
her husband having a dark room in the basement. I had a dark room in the basement growing up.
Oh my gosh.
Like-
Yeah, I've never been in a basement before.
No, basements are terrifying. No matter what, you have a light that's on the stairs, but the next light's gonna be down at the bottom, so you have the stairs that are lit, it's pitch black down there. You're literally, well, like, you're going down, you're entering an abyss. I was always terrified. My basement growing up did not, like, the stairs did have the holes in them, which is also terrifying. Mine was it wound a little bit from the top to the bottom, so you had to, like, turn a corner. Hate that. But you think of any movie that has a good basement scene, so, like, Conjuring, the first Conjuring, It.
That was the one that came to my mind.
Yeah, the
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Always Evil Dead. And Evil Dead 2013.
The way that we did not see the basement in Ghostwatch, except for in the black, and that the basement is where technically the paranormal activity was centered. And I found it interesting that it was the dad's space and the dad left.
Yeah.
But they don't really talk about, like, why he left.
Yeah.
They don't. They're not like, he left because of this. It's kind of like they don't want to talk about it. He left. It was upsetting for the children. It's obviously upsetting for everybody. Enfield haunting, the father was not in the picture either. But they talk about how when who they think the ghost is, when he's living in the basement where he's not supposed to be living, and that's why he's not on records. He has a room in the basement and he goes crazy. So did something happen to the dad and he had to leave because maybe he was, like, thinking something crazy. He was starting to think about, like, probably malicious thoughts toward his children and he couldn't deal with it. And the way that the mom feels in this, where she does feel, like, entirely powerless, completely powerless to protect her own children.
Right.
And I love the Shelley Duvall of it all.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, I just keep thinking of that. The eyes. The windy eyes.
In the same, like, that she's a mom who can't control that her husband is being taken over while her child is being harmed.
Yeah.
It's which I didn't even think about The Shining comparisons to this of The Haunt. But so now that we've seen it, just talking about The Haunt itself, do you feel like it is a ghost? It is a haunted house? Or do you feel like it's an entity? Like, what was the energy? What was the vibe that you were getting towards the end?
I think it's an entity. Like, it's
I don't know what the difference is. Like, a demon or
no, not a demon, but, like, the house is evil, like an Amityville or a Shining, versus
it's a person.
An entity that is taking over and doing. What's the movie where the kid? No, the entity. No, the movie. It's more modern, where the kid, the teenage son, has leukemia and he goes in the basement.
Oh, Haunting in Connecticut.
Yeah, Haunting in Connecticut, where it takes over this sick kid.
We stand Kyle Gallner.
Huge fan. Again, creepy ass basement with a secret hidden room, and evil shit happens, and it's because of that guy. So that's what I would say is it's not the house that's haunted; it's an entity in the house. Versus Amityville is the house.
Yeah.
Shining is the hotel.
Insidious is the house.
No, Insidious is
the boy.
Insidious is
he's haunted.
He's being haunted.
Right.
Yeah.
The Conjuring movies, they say it's more.
The location.
I don't know. Actually, first Conjuring it's the house. Second Conjuring it's second Conjuring it's a ghost, but then it's a demon.
The old guy who lived there. Yeah.
It's real convoluted.
It's very convoluted. But in the Enfield haunting, it's a ghost. After watching Ghostwatch, watch the Enfield haunting. It is very well done, and it's not mockumentary or documentary style at all. It's not broadcast or it's not found footage. It's real.
British drama.
It's and it focuses more on the paranormal investigator than it focuses on the family.
Okay.
So, but it's not the Warrens.
Oh, okay.
It's.
I'll take that.
There was so much of it where I was like, this is really well done, and I can see so many different movies that I'm like, yeah, they got it. I'm so hungry. Can we raid your fridge?
Yes, I will show you where my mom keeps all the good stuff.
Hello?
Oh, hello there. Is that 081 811 8181?
Who is this?
I'd rather remain anonymous.
Stop playing around!
I have some information that might be relevant.
He's gone.
What did he say?
That was weird. He didn't say anything. Anyway, let's read the fridge. I want food. Oh my.
Oh.
Oh. Paul, is that you? Oh. We are joined today by a writer, director, producer extraordinaire, Paul Davis, all the way from the UK. Woo! Not only is Paul an incredible genre creator, bringing us such movies such as Uncanny Annie and The Body, which is part of the Into the Dark series on Hulu. If you have not seen it, you should check it out. But he is also a published author and journalist specializing in retrospectives on horror, history, and production. He has graced us with writings from Horror Hound and Fangoria magazine. He's written the literal book on one of my favorites of all time, The Lost Boys, and made quintessential American Werewolf in London documentary, Beware the Moon, Remembering American Werewolf in London. And one more amazing thing about Mr. Paul Davis, he just so happens to be an expert on tonight's movie, which is Ghostwatch. You could not tell. Welcome to Pillow Fright, our slumber party, Paul. Yay!
Thanks for crashing.
Don't tell my mom. Boys aren't allowed.
I'm worried that my deep voice is going to wake someone up.
No. Well, I mean, we hear deep voices a lot around here,
Okay.
so it's okay.
So we just put it down to the spooky info sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a ghost, Dad.
There
It's
you
just a
go.
ghost.
It's ghost.
Don't say ghost dad. Get cancelled.
We're not going to talk about that.
Ugh.
Here on our slumber parties, we like asking all of our guests the most meaty favorite questions that we can ask you. First one being, what was the first horror film that you remember ever watching?
Interestingly enough, I have this conversation with wrestlers more than I have with actual genre fans.
wrestlers?
Yeah, because whenever I meet, because I'm a big wrestling fan as well, and whenever I meet wrestlers, specifically when they do like horror conventions, they're always astounded as to how horror fans are so diehard about wrestling, but can also tell you like the first match they ever watched and where they were and all this kind of stuff. And I always have to say, that's because we do the same thing as horror fans. We know exactly what our first horror movie was, where we were when we watched it, how old we were.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I'm wearing the socks. I don't know if you can get that.
Yes.
Nice.
Michael Jackson's Thriller was my gateway into horror,
Okay.
and that led me to An American Werewolf in London because, quite famously, in the 80s, the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller was the very first sell-through VHS that you could buy. And in the making of sequence, obviously they talk about An American Werewolf in London and the inspiration that Michael Jackson saw that and wanted to turn into a monster. So they had clips from American Werewolf in that. And it just so happened that when we got the video, literally like 2 weeks later, February 1985, I think it was, An American Werewolf in London had its UK television premiere on BBC One. And so my parents recorded it for me. And my brother, who's 7 years older, he was watching it from behind the couch, but I was just sat in front of the TV, glued to this monster, and I just fell in love with it. And from there, you know, I became the atypical 80s video store kid, and you know, I was the 5 or 6 year old that was in the horror section just because of the covers. With the
See, that seems to be the gateway for, I think, a lot of us major horror addicts, which is the VHS covers.
Yeah, because you didn't know what the movies were, but
Right,
because they were so colourful, they were so gregarious, you were just drawn to them. Like, I can remember vividly being in the horror section of my local video store, which was called Movie Town, on the Brighton Road in South London, in Croydon, and seeing that front cover for The Shining, and seeing Jack Nicholson's mug in that Here's Johnny still, and the other side of the panel being the axe coming through with Shelley Duvall looking terrified, not knowing what the hell that movie was. God damn, I wanted to see it.
Was that the cover that scared you the most?
No, funnily enough, the cover that always, like whenever I saw it, it even got to the point where I'd have to turn it around. While I was in the video store, was Carrie. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the UK Warner Home Video cover for Carrie. It was a publicity still that was taken in the house at the end of the movie when she's come back from the prom with all the candles and everything. But it's fully lit.
Oh shit.
It's fully lit, bright, harsh light, and it's Sissy Spacek just standing there with the eyes wide open. Oof. And it's all there for you to see. There's no shadows, there's no, nothing is hidden, it's right there. And seeing that at like 5 or 6 years old was quite startling. But the first movie that really did it, that really solidified my love for horror, and you're gonna love this, because I saw no context whatsoever when I watched it. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Yes! You know what, when you're younger, there's something about the dream sequences, especially in the earlier films, that like, it's just really,
I wholeheartedly believe, and I'm going to get a lot of shit in your comment section for this, Freddy in Part 2 is the scariest he is.
I agree!
Across the entire series, and I include the first one.
I agree, and give shit. It's okay. People have their opinions, but his makeup was like a wig.
The Kevin Yeager makeup in Part 2 is incredible, absolutely incredible. But I love the idea of Freddy using, I mean, where do you go from the first one? The first one establishes the rules. You go into a dream. If you die in your dream, you die for real. So how do you elevate that? So I love the idea of, Freddy using someone as an avatar while they're awake to get at people. And I kind of feel like the idea and the concept of Elm Street 2 is a lot better than the execution.
I agree.
I kind of feel like if Jesse suffered from narcolepsy and couldn't control the fact that he could fall asleep at any given point, and Freddy took advantage of that, would have been a lot better. Ooh. And then there's a wonderful moment where he kills Robert Russler. He kills Grady in that really sexually charged moment in the bedroom.
Such a great scene.
Where they use the reflection, they use mirrors to show that Freddy is Jesse and Jesse is Freddy. Now, the biggest problem that a lot of people have with that movie is the pool party sequence, because it idealizes Freddy being in the real world.
Yeah.
All they needed to do, one shot, Freddy, at the moment where the guy's trying to reason with him, you see the reflection in the pool and it's Jesse.
Oh, that would have been so sick.
Yeah.
That would have been so good. Well,
easy fix.
Get on the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Not just in general, just Part 2. The remake of Part 2.
That literally wouldn't even, just remake that one scene.
Just that one bit, just one shot, put it in the movie.
One of my favorite lines in the entire franchise. It's like my favorite part of anything. It was like, it's okay, man. We're here. We'll help you. Help yourself!
I'm here to help you. Help yourself!
That's my favorite line.
October 1986, and there's this trailer for this thing called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Who is Freddy? Who does he want revenge on? I'm there for it. But it was that one moment at the end of the trailer. You are all my children now.
I love that. Yep. It's a great tune.
I was a child. Who is this
That was
person I now
terrifying.
belong to?
Yeah.
You know?
Mom.
So that was the moment.
What was the scariest movie that you have
Like the
ever
first
seen?
one that
the
ever
first one
scared
that
you.
like you
That messed
remember?
you up
Yeah.
a bit.
There's a single image that I can remember really screwing with my head as a kid. And I always associate it to being sick or being ill, because I think I was ill at the time I watched it for the first time. And it's Piper Laurie's performance in Carrie as Margaret White, but specifically the shot after she stabbed Carrie and she comes down the stairs and we see Carrie's POV and she's smiling and she does the cross with the knife.
Man.
And I just like, just the subversion of, the mother, who's supposed to protect you.
Yeah.
Killing her own daughter is...
Didn't she play that as a comedy? Like she thought that
Yeah, she didn't understand
which
the
is
script.
amazing.
She didn't understand the script at all. I mean, bearing in mind, she'd been retired for 15 years.
Yeah.
She hadn't made a movie since The Hustler with Paul Newman in 1960.
Oh, wow.
So she'd retired and she moved up to upstate New York, and Brian De Palma sent her the script and she read it, she didn't get it, and then her husband kind of said, well, you know, he's kind of known for doing comedies, which was true at the time. If you look at some of his earlier stuff with Robert De Niro, like Hi Mom, The Wedding Party, those are comedies. Phantom of Paradise is a comedy, you know. So when she reread the script thinking, you know, am I supposed to play this funny? She got it immediately. And when she turned up on the set, she thought she was doing something that was satire.
That just goes to show how you can.
But it's still a brilliant performance. I mean,
She got nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah.
I mean,
both
that's
did.
why, like, comedy's amazing. Comedy is not funny, you treat it seriously. And you get those results, and then you get terrified results.
This is the thing. If she's playing it for comedy, and everybody else is playing it straight, there you go.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, Hyperborea is amazing. And that reminds me, we want the hottest goss ever, Paul. We need to know, who's your first horror crush?
Well, that's not too difficult
It's not
because
Hyperborea. That's why I asked. 'Cause it wasn't-
Mommy
it was-
issues.
Well, you got me there. No, it's still from Carrie. The character of Chris Hogginson, played by Nancy Allen, super dreamy. I don't want to be that fucking name dropping guy, but when I was here in 2014, I had dinner with her, and it was the first time I met her.
oh, she's great.
And I had written the Hall of Fame induction for Carrie into Horror Hound magazine several years prior, and she told me that she'd read it.
Oh my gosh!
No, not oh my gosh. Because I immediately just turned beetroot red because I knew what was coming.
You turned 16.
I knew what was coming. I gave her a special shout out at the fact that Chris Hogginson is one of the, like, all of the things that Carrie does in the movie has nothing on the fact that Chris Hogginson gives Billy Nolan head and has a full dialogue as she is doing
Billy!
so.
Billy!
She is
That's
talking.
so weird.
That's talent.
Wait,
She's a ventriloquist.
I hate Carrie White!
Like telekinesis, that's the magic in
You
the
know what?
movie.
That's impressive. That's
So
very
what did
impressive.
she say?
She thanked me for it, the fact that I acknowledged it, and I was.
No one appreciates
I'm
my
sorry.
skill. So tonight was the first viewing for me, and the first viewing for Alyssa. But Emma, you've seen this, but in how long? How long has it been?
Like a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Okay. And
you made
that works to talk about your very first viewing, which happened to be the first viewing for a lot of the UK. This is so fascinating.
The night it aired. Yeah. Halloween night, 1992. I was 11 years old. What can I say? We thought it was real. We thought it was real. We had no indication to think otherwise because.
They advertised it as real, right?
No,
Or, like, how
they
did
didn't
you-
advertise it as real. I mean, the first thing I should probably say is that if you go back and watch it, the written by Stephen Volk credit at the very beginning is barely 2 seconds long. And that's because the BBC insisted they put that on the front of the programme 24 hours before it aired. It was never intended to be there to kind of play out the authenticity of it being put out as a live broadcast, as it were. But the BBC just got cold feet, and they knew that if they did not put something at the front end of it to say, hey, we said it's a drama all along, then any complaints that they had, it would have been a lot harder for them to defend it. And boy, did they.
Oh,
Yes.
we have some follow-ups on that.
Yeah. So this was, they're opening themselves to a War of the World situation, which, I mean, that's going to be the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about a program that scares a nation.
Right.
And this is a much more modern version of it. So what were some of the reactions in the UK at that time?
I mean, you know, hindsight's 2020. Looking back on it now, I can't think of anything prior to Ghostwatch, other than, as you mentioned, the Mercury Theatre 1938 Awesome Worlds, War of the Worlds, that really kind of got people in a furor as it did. The only thing that I can compare it to, but in terms of the reaction, was when The Exorcist came out. Because people just did not know how to react to it. And it was banned by local councils, and they set up tour buses to go and see The Exorcist at the nearest theatre. So when Ghostwatch aired, I remember, I missed the opening, so I missed the whole written by credit. All I'm seeing is Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, who was the host of like the children's TV show going live at the time. The phone number they used was the same phone number for going live, and they had popular TV shows like Crime Watch. So it just felt like it was a Halloween special of Crime Watch, but we're looking for ghosts. Craig Charles, who is Lister from Red Dwarf, Mike Smith, who's married to Sarah Green. These were real BBC personalities, and why the hell would we not trust the BBC? It's the nation's auntie, It was there during the war. It doesn't lie to you. So the reason that Stephen Volk wanted it at the BBC was to subvert that, that honesty that is kind of part and parcel with the BBC. We got about halfway through, like when I was watching it with my mum, like I said, I was 11. We got about halfway through, and I'd already seen The Exorcist at this point, so I was like, I'm seeing similarities here. I'm like, all right, but they had over 30,000 complaints the following day, and that only grew and grew and grew, and there were a lot of people that thought it was real, but equally there were a lot of people that didn't. So.
Well, and for them being, because one thing, Emma mentioned that these were actual BBC personalities at the time, but me watching it, the acting is wonderful for them being, television hosts, news hosts, that sort of thing. I thought that it was incredibly natural, and if I was just watching a documentary, I 100% would have believed it. So considering it is something that's scripted, I mean, they did an amazing job. They did have me fully believing, even though I knew. So I can only imagine someone who trusts these people in their homes every night. It's like if Walter Cronkite did this to our grandparents.
You're like, why would he do that? Why? Oh my gosh.
I mean, I could show you clips of Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, Mike Smith, Craig Charles. It's almost as though they're not acting, because it's not out of their comfort zone. It's what they're used to doing. So they didn't have to put on any kind of performance. They were just reading the lines as if they were reading an auto cue.
Well,
that's it.
I wrote in my notes as we were watching it, did they have a formal script, or were they just they had a structure?
No, there was
and they
a
had
script.
to...
There was a script.
Okay. Because I'm just, how did they even get involved? What made them go, okay, let's do this?
Well,
that's
just so when Stephen Volk was writing it, Ghostwatch was originally, Stephen Volk was approached by the producer Ruth Baumgarten, who did a series for BBC called Screen One, which was almost like a play of the week kind of thing. It was originally conceived as a 6-part series. And the idea was that it was set in a haunted tower block in Manchester, in northern England, and there would be ABC stories that kind of connected, and then the final episode would be a live broadcast from inside the house. And everybody loved it, but they got a little bit jittery about committing to a 6-part, horror story, as it were. But then Ruth said, look, we have one of these Screen Ones for free. We have one going. Do you want to do this as a one-off? So rather than shoehorn 6 hours into one, Stephen said, let's do the final episode. And one of the things that's interesting as well, I see a lot of people, when they talk about the Ghostwatch today, refer to this as being based on the Enfield poltergeist.
That's what I thought. That was my.
Is it not?
Consciously, it was not.
But
it was. I know. So this is the thing. When it went into production, they probably looked at the Enfield Poltergeist as a template for how it should look, and obviously it's got the same dynamics of the mother with the adolescent children.
Yeah. Right.
But Stephen, when he was writing it, he looked up so many different cases, both in the UK and the US. But more than that, he infused, and this is what astounds him about how he doesn't get why people thought it was so real. He infused so many popular horror movies into it. Specifically, The Exorcist. You know, the mother being plagued by this outside force that is taking over the child. The siege mentality of Night of the Living Dead. The abuser character of Freddy Krueger in the backstory of Pipes. The cross-dressing element of Norman Bates from Psycho.
Okay.
So that's where those influences came from, and he's like, I don't believe that people thought this was real because I literally just ripped off horror movies. So
that's interesting because it really does feel so close to Enfield because that was like 77?
77.
And so, and I know that, I feel, maybe this is an American bias, but I feel like Britain in general really loves like paparazzi scandal, any sort of big story like that. Yeah. So I know it was big for a while, and the Warrens got involved, like IRL, not Conjuring Universe, not in a big way, but like, there's like
the Warrens turned up and left.
Yeah, but it was, there was still it was a big story.
It was a huge story, but this is the big thing. I mean, Stephen even said to me when I spoke to him, if he based it specifically on the Enfield Poltergeist, he would not have asked Guy Playfair, who was the parapsychologist who investigated the Enfield house, to be the technical advisor on Ghostwatch, because then it would have been an immediate bias. So yeah, it's an amalgamation of different cases and just things that Stephen loved from horror movies, and specifically as well Nigel Neal's the Stone Tape. The Stone Tape was the huge catalyst for Pipes. The idea that you set up a threat, and it's like an onion. The more you peel it away, the more it smells. The more sinister it gets. That was the idea.
Well, and afterwards, the BBC, obviously they were facing a lot of criticism. There was definitely a lot going on at the time about this, so it seems like they were kind of, they were obviously going to back away with it, but now, it's on Shudder. It's in the US, people are buying shirts from it, people know about it, it's become a cult hit. So, like, how do you think that changed over time?
Well, it's interesting because, I watched it that night, and I remember going to school following Monday morning, and it's all everybody talks about.
Oh, wow.
How many times did you see Pipes? It was one of those things. I can tell you very vividly, going back to my 11-year-old brain, the moment where they're up in the kid's bedroom, and the cameraman pans, and you see him in the curtain. And it's a very fleeting thing, because the camera then goes back and he's gone.
Yep.
That was just a, what the fuck did I just see moment, because you saw it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And that was before, you realized that shit was rotten in Denmark.
The effects were incredibly effective. I don't know how else to say it. No. But the way that they had these half-lit shadows, I thought was quite beautiful. Just showing this and the subtlety, which we've talked about before. It's where you don't want to oversee something, because then that gives your brain too much time to decide it's not real. And some of the scariest moments for me, some of the best jump scares, were those brief instances that you saw Pipes in the patio door, and then I'm just like, Pan, show me that that's not a person, please.
And it doesn't need a musical sting or a cue. Like, that is the most effective to me of anything.
Every movie, every haunted house ghost movie that hides a ghost in the frame and doesn't draw attention to it, that's from Ghostwatch. They've seen Ghostwatch.
These girls will tell you I rave all day about the Woman in Black remake with Daniel Radcliffe because the ghost work, not the fucking jump scare screams, her in the background of shots is so subtle and well done that I watched it 2 weeks ago and I had to sleep the lights on.
Haunting of Hill House.
Same
They did that.
thing.
You have to count the ghosts, and which is something that you count, like you mentioned, you go to school. How many times did you see Mr. Pipes? I mean, I rewatched Haunting of Hill House to be like, I'm pretty sure I saw 1/10 of the ghosts that were actually there.
Well,
And you go back and you keep on being like,
and that's why I think it's so effective too, because it almost, in a way, forces you to rewatch it. Like you look forward to rewatching it just to pick that out in the background. I love that.
how many times is Mr. Pipes there that if we are rewatching it, how many times am I going to go through and be like,
I mean, yeah, I haven't gone through it in a long time. Alma, I think you said something about 13, which sounds about right to me.
I read in your article.
Yeah, I think it's 13 times.
13 times, yeah, but I think I've seen about 4. I'm just so weird.
Yeah, I want to.
I can name 4. That's all I can name off the top of my head.
I saw 2. Oh my gosh. This is exciting. I want to go back and watch it now.
The most vivid, and I say vivid, because there was quite an elaborate makeup done on the actor who played Pipes. The most vivid time you see him is when Craig Charles goes out and interviews the 2 women outside, and then comes back and he's got the expert, the tech expert with him, and they're walking past all of the crowd that are outside. He's just behind them.
Completely missed
Yeah,
that.
I've seen this movie a million times.
Yeah, he's just behind him, but there's a light on him, so you can see the wound.
Interesting, because I thought that was a costume. I thought that was somebody in a costume when I was watching it. I didn't notice it because I thought it was just.
Well, they had those people in costume because it's Halloween, which I think is, and then they have the guy pop out in the beast mask, which I think helps kind of hide that you're not gonna think twice. I miss that, and I love a good makeup effect.
Right.
I also love how they lit him from above, especially knowing that he was hung. There's just something extra. Not he was hung, he hung.
You saw him in that one moment, when it goes back to Television Center and the light explodes, and there's someone that's him as well.
Now I'm gonna go back and watch it again. I missed all of these.
Rewatch it until you find everyone.
Whoever watches this.
13 ghosts.
Yeah, 13 ghosts.
Oh, I
Leave
love
it right.
that.
Yeah, write in the comments when he appears. Because now I don't know what is it.
Timestamps.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, that's it's a good watch party to see how many people catch him at the end, to be like a bingo stamp of I got this many Mr. Pipes.
How many pipes you peep?
How many
Keep the pipes.
Keep the pipes.
It's a good game.
It's a good drinking game.
Yes,
There you go.
keep the pipes.
Why
You're why are you drinking? What did I
earlier?
miss? What did I miss?
We should have done that earlier.
Keep the
shouldn't
pipes.
we? Yeah. Well, I am so happy that you got to talk to us about this because you're the only person I have ever known who was there.
Before we get off this, Ghostwatch is not a found footage movie.
Whoa, okay. Found footage is actually one of my favorite genres. I have favorite creatures, I have favorite genres. Found footage is one of my favorite genres, not only because it's really opened up accessibility to horror creators, and making it so that not everything has to be a high budget film in order to be terrifying, but I think that it's just a sign of the times. And we always have our phones on us. We did just watch, we won't talk about for you, Late Night with the Devil, which is, it's introduced as found footage in the same way that Grave Encounters. It has that same energy where that is considered found footage. So why is Ghostwatch not found footage?
Because it was a satire on the live broadcast. It was a consciously made program. It wasn't someone, that recorded it and then someone at the BBC found it and was like, let's put this out. It was a play on the live broadcast culture. I've also seen it mentioned as a mockumentary. There's nothing documentary or mock documentary about it. It's supposed to be it's a satire on daytime television, a live broadcast. I can see where found footage can draw from it, but I don't believe for once, and neither does Stephen Bolt think of it as found footage.
Okay. And I'm not saying it was
Okay.
I
love that.
I think that it's interesting that there are so many variances and like subtle differences, but yes, if it was something where they were like, we found this in the vaults of BBC. Hidden under the Lost Doctor Who episodes.
I think the closest thing that's ever come to Ghostwatch, I mean, there's tons of great found footage movies out there, but in terms of the format of Ghostwatch, the closest thing that's ever come close, how many times can I say come close in this sentence, was Deadline, the Halloween special by Inside Number 9, which was done exactly the same way. And in fact, Stephen Bolt texted Reece Shearsmith of Inside Number 9 after he watched it and said, I'm so glad that, you know, you kind of acknowledged Ghostwatch, and Reece just replied, it was all for you.
Oh my god, guys! My mom just woke up. You gotta do it.
She said no voice. She said no voice.
Thank you so much for being here, Paul. We really enjoyed talking with you. Hurry! Go!
Alright.
Hi, Mom! Did you win?
Okay. Good night, Dad. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna get any sleep tonight, but I hope you can. And please like, subscribe, comment, and we will talk to you about this movie because I absolutely cannot wait to hear what y'all thought.
See you at the next slumber party.
Woo!